There we go. Okay, we are now live on YouTube as well. Hold on, let me just drop this in the Discord real quick. Okay. Let me make sure my chat is working. Just saw your new video. Can't believe you justified the strikes. Hey, man, you gotta hit those narco terrorists 3-4 times if you have to. Democrats are all commies. I don't understand this. Communists hate Democrats. I've seen some communists who seem to hate Democrats more than they hate Republicans, so I don't know where this idea comes from. Let's see. Is that better? Yeah, it's a bit better. And, okay, hold on. We aren't live for too long today, by the way, so make sure y'all are double tapping the screen so we can make the most with our time. I have to go pick up my sister in like 45 minutes, and that's if I'm pushing it, so. Biden 2024, I'm assuming you don't disagree with me. Did you want a debate, or are you a friendly in the guest request? Because honestly, if there are no debate requests today, I might just go over some of the recent news rather than, rather than just yapping about whatever. I really don't understand. If you watch on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about when I say that the little chat box is like really annoying to get that shit working, because I'm trying to. It says it's active on TikTok and YouTube. Maybe I should refresh. Hold on, let's stop that. And let's activate source and refresh. Okay, and now. Biden 2024, what did you want to say before I let you... Again, we have limited time here. I'm here for under an hour, but I promised I would go live again today, so I'm trying to make good on that. I think this should work now. I hope it works. You don't honestly believe any of that, right? I do, and I know that either you do too, or you're too afraid to say otherwise because you're not in my guest requests, Keith. You're not. So I highly doubt that you... Please prove me wrong. Hop on and explain why any of these things are not true. That's the whole point of the live. If not, I'm going to switch over to covering some of the recent news. We have the FBI just made an arrest in the January 6th pipe bomb investigation. It seems like they have tried to re-indict Letitia James, and I'm not sure if that indictment even succeeded. I'm seeing conflicting headlines on that, so we'll look into that. You have Republican senators who are openly calling out Pete Hegseth now, and do not forget that Republican senators do not care at all about war crimes. So anytime they talk about we're so worried about these war crimes, what they're really saying is I'm looking for a permission structure to jump off the MAGA train. And then it seems like we also have the Supreme Court allowing Texas to use Trump-backed congressional maps for midterms. And then we'll look at some jobs numbers as well, if there are no debates, which it seems like there are no debates. What's up, Mad Scramble? Okay, it seems like slowly the chat is working on YouTube. This is so weird, dude. I mean, sometimes my TikTok chat shows up there, sometimes it doesn't. I can try refreshing it again. It's not even showing the viewer count. On why Trump is not a good president. No, I agree. I agree he's not a good president. Okay, thank God the TikTok... Okay, the chat is working perfectly now. Perfect. You know, I'm taking this shit seriously now because I have 2 monitors set up and my laptop, so. Okay. I doubt we're going to get any debates. Let's just cover the news. I have to leave soon anyways. And if we do get any debates, it's going to be someone saying the N-word or something. Trump is a good... Okay, Biden 2024, hop in the requests. Please debate, sell it. I'm okay. Good logic. That sounds so familiar. Good logic. Who is that? Mr. Biden 2024, if you'd like to explain why you think Trump's a good president, the guest requests are open. If not, I'm just going to switch over to covering today's news because, again, we are not here for very long. And if you are enjoying the live on TikTok, make sure you're double tapping the screen. If you want to watch over on YouTube, the link tree in my TikTok bio has my YouTube and also my Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much everything. Gallup polls? Are there new Gallup polls? Or are you talking about the ones that came out that said that Trump's at like 36% approval? Okay, the one guy in the guest request who said that he wanted to debate is gone. Yes, there are new Gallup polls? Okay. Did you see the Dearborn white supremacist infiltration? I've seen things about this. I genuinely cannot believe what Dearborn is being made out to be. Anyone who's ever been to Dearborn like laughs when they see this coverage. It's very safe. Routinely go there at like 10, 11 p.m. to get some good food. I mean, it's really. I felt more unsafe in like Los Angeles than I felt in Dearborn, which actually right-wingers would also probably say it's because of immigrants or something. I think you mean to say Amo Sammy's, like the shawarmas? Massive simp. Okay, let's see what Mikey's talking about here. Are there new Gallup polls? Economic confidence slips. Holiday spending plans plummet. More Americans say political rhetoric. Okay, let me switch over to screen share. I still haven't tried Amo Sammy's. I've tried Pita Way. I know is a chain, but it's really good. Pita Way is really good. I don't know if it's unpopular to say. It's not really a chain. It's like a Midwest chain. Not even. Other than Michigan, I don't know. There we go. Can everyone see? I think everyone can see. More Americans say political rhetoric has gone too far. 69% say Republicans, 60% say Democrats. Okay, so more say Republicans than Democrats in terms of inflammatory rhetoric? Okay, let's see. More Americans say parties have gone too far with rhetoric. Thinking more generally about this is a really important thing to always look at when you're looking at opinion polls is look at the actual prompt they asked people, because you can ask people about the same topic like 20 different ways and get 30 different answers. So like you see this a lot with like Medicare for All polling is like when you ask someone, should the government ensure that everyone has health insurance? Like everyone says yes. But then when you say, should the government be the only insurer and ban private insurance, then the approval starts to waver. So framing is always really important to see how people actually feel. Thinking more generally about the way political issues are discussed and debated in the United States today, do you think each of the following groups has or has not gone too far in using inflammatory language to criticize their political opponents? Okay. Republicans and their supporters. Okay. So we went from 53 to 69, so 16-point increase in 14 years, who blame Republicans. And wow, okay, apparently in 2011, 51% said the Democrat. What was Democratic rhetoric in 2011? Like, Yes We Can, Part 2? What was the dangerous Democratic rhetoric? The same had the birtherism stuff started at this point? I can kind of understand how someone who's like not plugged into politics and only tangentially follows like social media and stuff could think that like, oh yeah, both sides need to tone it down, but Republicans are worse. I'm guessing that's probably the median American who says that like Republicans are worse, but Democrats also need to tone it down, reverse the bullshit like that. But in 2011, how could you make the argument that a majority of Democrats had rhetoric that was going too far when Obama was the president and Joe Biden was the VP? I don't understand that. Yeah, and the Tea Party was crazy. Has anyone seen there's like a video that was made of like someone dressed up as Obama, like whipping a woman and saying, I need your money for taxes to fund abortions. And then they steal the woman's money and they go to like this evil abortionist and then they do like an evil secret handshake. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? That was the political rhetoric of the Republican Party in 2011. Yeah, and Occupy Wall Street, I feel like was not. That sounds really out of pocket and crazy. If you haven't seen the video I'm talking about, I promise I described that very accurately. I just don't know what I would look up to find that. But, okay.
New this morning, data from payroll giant ADP shows small business. New this morning.
Like my takeaway on this poll is that I'm unhappy with this because in 2011, the number for Democrats should have been lower, the number for Republicans should have been higher, and in 2025, the fact that only 69% of Americans say that Republicans have gone too far, this should be like 90%. I'll be generous and say 85%. The fact it's pretty much around 70 is crazy. And then 60% saying that Democrats have gone too far with their rhetoric. I mean, no, you could say maybe the left, but like even when you say the left is going far with rhetoric, it's like 3 guys on Twitter who got a bunch of retweets saying out of pocket stuff. It's not the president of the United States. It's not anyone elected to any position of power. You ever notice that when they point to like the extreme left-wing rhetoric and it's like, can you believe the left is saying we have to kill all white men? Like, who said that exactly? Oh, this random Twitter account said that? Okay, what about what the president of the United States said yesterday? That doesn't matter? And then it ends up to like the Twitter account on YouTube or on Twitter isn't even a real person. It's just like some bot or some right-winger who's fomenting false outrage.
New this morning, data from payroll giant ADP shows small businesses are starting to crack amid a weakening economy and rising costs and fickle consumers. 32,000 jobs were lost last month, largest monthly drop in 2.5 years. Private employers have shed jobs in 4 of the past 6 months. CNN chief data analyst Harry Enten is here with us now. So we're talking about
they really have Harry Enten working overtime. He's starting to look disheveled and like he's not getting enough to eat. Let this man go home. Let him leave the CNN studio. I feel like every CNN segment now is like we check in with Harry Enten again. Harry, how have the polls shifted from 5 minutes ago?
About the jobs market overall.
It's rough out.
If you had to pick Parker or Dean, they're both great. I'd pick Parker just because I know Parker better. I've hung out with Parker a few times. I've met Dean once or twice. Very nice guy as well, but just don't know him as well as I know Parker. Margins are big on so much. Don't get me wrong. Look, I think currently the margins are very big for Democrats. I think Republicans or Trump's approval right now is probably sitting around somewhere around 30%, like the actual number. I'm sure their internal polling is showing like probably 33%, something around there. But even that, to me, feels very high. The fact that potentially a third of the country or a third of the voting public thinks this is okay is crazy to me. I feel like the upper ceiling on supporting Trump in like a sane country should be 10%, and that's if we're being very generous. So, America is Beautiful is saying that I tried to K Supreme Court justices. I have no recollection of this. Would you agree we need to focus on hiring Americans over importing cheap labor? I don't agree with the premise that we should import cheap labor. I think if someone comes here, that they should be paid the same minimum wage as everyone else, which is going to be easier if they're documented, right? So, what do you think about Destiny? Is he based? He's based when it comes to debating Trump supporters most of the time, but he's super not based on his take on Gaza, which is I don't believe he thinks it's a genocide, which is just not true. Or he has very different values than me on that. And then also his personal conduct does not seem super based to me. But again, I don't think that court case has been resolved, so I don't speak on cases till they've been adjudicated. So I'll say it looks sus, and we'll see how that ends up. Parker is chill. He just gets emotional when dealing with legit psychopaths. Yeah, which is valid. I agree. Every poll but one says over 45. See Gallup showing change. Okay. What's up, King? How we doing tonight? We're doing good. We're only on here until like 10:40. Or no, 9:40, right? Or no, 10:40. Yeah. However, could we think rhetoric is too far when you pew and boom everyone? This is the issue with the rhetoric from the right, is that you say that I am responsible for what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's when you paint the entire left as one person and we all collectively pulled the trigger somehow. Like, the amount of people that have told me that I unalived Charlie Kirk or that I threatened a Supreme Court... No, I did not actually. I don't even know these people.
That's how folks feel about it. It's rough, rough, rough. I mean, just
Meanwhile, Joe Biden gives a speech very explicitly saying not all Republicans, not even a majority of Republicans, it's just specifically the MAGA Republicans that I think are a threat to democracy. And the right threw up their hands and they screamed and they cried and they smeared their shit all over the wall. And they're like, oh my God, Biden is labeling half the country terrorists. He is going too far. This is fascistic rhetoric. Meanwhile, these guys hop on here and tell random people who voted for Kamala Harris, you killed Charlie Kirk. Okay. I've also apparently pewed ICE 5 times bow. I'm assuming he meant now. Or maybe he wanted to end that off with an ad lib. I don't know.
look here. Good time to find a quality job.
Not a normal, sane, socially adjusted, psychologically adjusted person. You say America is beautiful, but you seem to think it's ugly because everything you seem to stand for is antithetical to the United States. But
employees, you go back 3.5 years ago, look at this, it was the clear majority, 70%. Remember, there was all that talk about quiet quitting. Oh, I'm going to leave my job, I'll find another one. No longer do we feel that's the case. Look at this. That is a drop of more than half, down to just 33% in the
this is what happens when you don't have Bidenomics anymore.
reading of Gallup back in August of 2025. The bottom line is 3 years ago, we were dealing with what Americans thought was a good job market. Now they think it is a terrible job market for those who are trying to get out and potentially get a job.
Yeah, that's just a big drop.
It's huge.
And people didn't like the economy then, and it's still a huge drop. All right, how do people think the president is doing when it comes to jobs?
Yeah, if you see this drop of more than half, this slide won't surprise you. I mean, Trump's net approval rating on jobs.
This is so unrelated, but sometimes I do these lives and the VOD is like 3 hours long. Today it's probably only going to be under an hour, but hold on. I got to let my dog out. Watch this while I'm gone. 1 second.
All right, how do people think the president is doing when it comes to jobs?
Yeah, if you see this drop of more than half, this slide won't surprise you. I mean, Trump's net approval rating on jobs and employment in January, he was at +9 points. Hey, pretty gosh darn good, well above water. But look at this now. Look at this now. That is a drop of nearly 30 points.
As I was saying before I left 2 seconds ago, if anyone wants to potentially edit for me for my YouTube in terms of like cutting down my live streams into like, if I do like a 3-hour stream and there's like 2 to 4 good clippable 15-minute segments in there, then, and you want to edit that for me and make my life easier, then you can message me and we can look into that. Because I've gotten a lot of people message me like, hey, I'd like to edit your TikToks. And I'm like, TikToks are really not that hard to edit. I'm fine. But when it comes to YouTube, it's a different story. Like going through a 4-hour live video and then finding one segment and then cutting out the dead space. Yeah, it's a lot. I have 0 editing experience, but lots of free time. Do I qualify? Anyone who can do it and has proof that they can do it can qualify.
The course of his presidency, the -19 points, and then my little nugget down here, he's at -35 points on the net approval rating. There, we'll zoom right in.
Yeah, he's
with
cooked.
Independence. That's some great camera work right there. So look, the bottom line is this. On jobs and employment, it was a plus for Trump coming in. It was one of the reasons they got elected, and now it is a massive, massive negative, in large part because it's just tough to get a job out there, according to those who are trying to do so.
But Harry, my 401k is doing so well. The stock market is up for the year.
Yeah, your 401k is doing pretty gosh darn well, but that's not what Americans look to in terms of judging the economy. I mean, ways to...
Yeah, imagine being like 30 and being like, oh my gosh, my 401k, which I can't even access right now, if I make it to this age, it'll be big if the economy stays on this trajectory. Yippee. How about I just have enough to pay my expenses?
The economy is good. 37% say the stock market. That's well less than majority. The clear majority, 54%, say the jobs report, the unemployment numbers. That's the way they
How do you
judge
expect
whether
the
or not...
labor market to be fixed realistically? There's no fixing labor markets. Like any recovery towards a positive direction is going to be gradual. And what we can hope for is that there's as little friction as possible and as much involvement from the government insofar as it makes life easier for the average person.
Economy is good when it comes to those
Like
national-
I'd be very pleasantly surprised if we make it to the end of Trump's second term and like nothing really economically catastrophic happened. Like bro speed ran doing all the policies that you are taught when you study economics. Hey, like tariffs, distortionary, horrible for raising revenue, not a great idea, doesn't even bring back manufacturing. It's like It's like if someone was to speed run destroying the U.S. economy, I feel like this is kind of how they'd go about it.
So the jobs reports potentially being bad, that is far, far, far more important and far more devastating than the president. He can't just point to the stock market, because when you have ADP numbers like we had coming out this week, that's a massive negative in the minds of the American public.
This does
Also, what is ADP? Maybe I've missed previous reports on ADP job numbers. Is that what's happening? Or is this just like we're now looking to other organizations and other bodies of collecting data because the government is just not releasing economic data? Like, is this being done to supplement a lack of government data, or is this a normal metric we look at?
explain way for most people because they think the jobs.
Right, it's a private payroll company, but I'm asking, like, is this typically a metric we would look to? Or is this something we are now looking to compensate for the fact that government data is a lot harder to come by?
Is really what's important here. So how do people think it's going to go when it comes to the jobs market?
Yeah, okay, so you know what, we had the ADP, but of course we'll be getting
Okay, yeah, so they released it alongside the government, and we're just now putting more emphasis on this one. Cool.
the actual
Wasn't it nice when, as political as things were, the government could just collect data and do science and do research without lying? Just straight up lying?
from the U.S. government on this, and the chance November's unemployment rate, according to the prediction market odds, is above the previous 4.4%. 70% chance that we have a worse unemployment rate in the next jobs report coming out than what we previously...
Dude, the headlines we're seeing now on the economy are like... I saw one today and I was like, what? I think I screenshotted it. U.S. credit rejection rates are surging. Highest level since records began. There was that little period of time, and I'm kind of plagiarizing a tweet I saw saying this, but it's kind of true anyways, where the economic headlines were like, worst since right before the financial crisis. Worst since the Great Depression. Now we've graduated to worst since records began. That's how you know you're moving in the right direction. First, your metric is 2007, 2008. Then it goes back to the beginning of the 20th century with the recession. And now it's just since we started looking at numbers, this is the worst one. For credit rejection rates. Credit crunch coming. Awesome. And then here's the fun part for the Fed, is the Fed is cooked regardless. Because if the Fed tries to lower rates to make credit more freely available and just put less pressure on credit markets, then lowering those rates combined with Trump's tariffs could lead actually to an inflationary spiral where then you might just get stagflation. Awesome. Love that. Or I guess they could keep rates the same, in which case the credit crunch continues to go up. Or if they really want to just lower prices or prevent inflation, they could raise the rates to address Trump's tariffs, and that would make the credit crunch worse.
That's
I don't
where
even.
people are putting their money where their
You
mouth
get
is.
to a point where there's nothing left to say. I'm talking about the most stupid, incoherent economic policy as we are watching a clip from CNN that has a Cauchy logo at the bottom of the screen, because now we're just financializing everything, and everything's a betting market. What a beautiful world we live in.
And it's not much of a surprise when you have that ADP number coming out like we did earlier on, because right now it just looks rough out there.
So the people betting on this think it's going to get worse.
You got it exactly right, Mr. Berman.
Harry Ann, great to see you this morning.
to
Thank
see
you
you.
very much.
A worrying sign for the U.S. economy. A new report from the payrolls firm ADP.
It's like usually when an economic crash happens, it's a combination of incompetence or economic mismanagement combined with just negative or unfavorable macroeconomic indicators, which are just going to ebb and flow globally and sometimes be independent of human action, or at least conscious human action. This is so artificial. Like, we didn't need to be here. We could have just continued to do well and invest more in like strengthening unions maybe and building infrastructure. Wouldn't that be better? And maybe just raise tax revenue. Instead, we're like, let's expand the deficit by cutting income taxes and corporate taxes for the wealthy. But then all those corporate tax cuts are not going to be reinvested into wages or equipment. They're going to go towards stock buybacks, which I guess is good for the company and good for the 401ks of people who can access the 401ks. But meanwhile, the job market is crashing and wages are stagnating, and social safety nets are being cut, and the bond market's also. I don't understand why.
32,000 private sector jobs were lost in November.
I keep saying that everything that's been happening in Trump's second term is the equivalent of someone standing in the middle of the street, and you're like, hey, there's a car speeding towards you at 150 miles per hour, but don't worry, it's 10 miles away, so if you wanted to right now, you could just take a step to the side and not get hit by this car racing towards you. And for some reason, 49% of the country, they were like, let's sprint towards the car. Let's run directly at it with open arms. That's what this economic policy feels like as well.
Small businesses are, in the words of the report, starting to crack as the economy gets weaker. 4 of the last 6 months have now shown job losses. The numbers were much worse than economists had been expecting. CNN's Matt Egan has more now from New York.
Yeah, Max,
What?
this
See, and why is there a British guy on CNN? I'm just nitpicking now. Maybe there normally are.
CNN's Matt Egan has more now from New York.
Yeah, Max, this was another brutal report on America's job market.
And I take that back. I want to apologize to the UK and actually all European countries and Australia, because y'all's reporters are way tougher on Trump than American reporters. Every reporter I've ever seen ask Trump an actual tough, legitimate question is like Australian or like from the UK or like I'm with Al Jazeera. Like it's never an American reporter. They're so scared of him.
Significant weakness.
Not liking British is always valid, actually. True.
In November, especially among smaller businesses. So ADP says that private payrolls fell by 32,000 jobs in November. Now,
Small businesses are woke as fuck. They're DEI. Small businesses are... If you want to help small businesses, that's basically DEI for the economy. Silly woke libs. Only Democrats want to help small businesses. We believe in helping big businesses. Because that's not DEI. MAGA.
not only is that much worse than the expected gain of 40,000 jobs, this is the worst month since March of 2023. Now, we never want to make too much about any one month, but when you look at the trend...
This guy's talking really slowly. Or maybe my attention span is, it's finally just over for me. Why can I not change the speed? There we go.
It doesn't look encouraging either. ADP says that private payrolls fell in June, August, September, and November. So that means businesses shed jobs in 4 out of the last 6 months. And the closely watched 3-month average turned negative for the first time since the summer of 2020. Of course, that was during COVID. Now, small businesses are clearly facing the most pressure right now. ADP says that employers with fewer than 50 employees, they cut 120,000 jobs in November.
Yeah, this is what happens when you implement massive tariffs and the tariff rates are changing every other day depending on which side of the bed you wake up on and which world leader gave you the biggest fucking smile and flattered you enough. How is any business supposed to apportion their upcoming expenses or sign contracts long-term for materials or for labor when they don't know, are my materials going to be the same cost as always, 1.5x the same cost as always, 2x the same cost as always? Because when they're budgeting, especially small businesses that don't have massive profit margins, how can they plan any sort of capital expenditure when there's no such thing as fixed costs? Because Trump's always changing your costs because he's changing the tariff rates and exempting certain sectors and then unexempting them and then exempting certain countries. It's like, I focus more on the authoritarianism of Trump, not just because I think it's the most significant thing, but also because as someone with an economics degree, if I just focus on Trump's economic policy, I would be bald by tomorrow. I would break out. Like, it is so painful to watch this happen. It is like so self-inflicted and so unnecessary. And even if, like, I don't understand their logic for doing it. Like, if you're Trump, don't you want the economy to do well so you can say, like, look how good I did? Like, why?
And large companies, they continue to hire. And I have to say, this echoes what I've heard from small business owners who say that they're hurting right now from tariffs, from high costs, and from expensive financing. Now, the good news is that healthcare and leisure and hospitality, they continue to have...
expensive financing. That goes back to the credit crunch. When interest rates are super high, it's harder to start a small business. And when interest rates are high and tariffs are high, you're pretty much cooked unless you were already very well off in terms of capital.
But that's kind of it. Elsewhere, we saw a significant job loss in information, finance, construction. Manufacturing continues to lose jobs, which is the exact opposite of what the White House is trying to make happen.
And the exact opposite of what happened under Biden, where manufacturing jobs were growing. And then even that bullshit talking point, where the issue under Biden was that there were too many manufacturing jobs, and no one wanted to fill them. I was told that the biggest crisis in America is that everyone wants manufacturing jobs. But then you get a surplus of them under Biden, no one fills them, and then people elect Trump to bring back manufacturing jobs in 2024, and then he gets rid of them, and you still support him? It's almost like it was never about the jobs, and you just hate brown people.
Historically high tariffs.
Which before I would say there's other reasons you could support Trump, and I do think that of the 74 million people that voted for him last time, I don't think all of them hate brown people, but if you still support Trump currently, after seeing what he's done and having your 10 months to regret your decision, there's a very limited number of explanations. One is that you are so insanely brainwashed and so insanely embedded in the alternate reality right-wing media echo chamber ecosystem that you just don't even know what's going on, and you're being fed a different version of reality, and you take it at face value. That's one option. The other option is that you're like a Stephen Miller type, a nativist, and you're like, if you weren't born on American soil over 100 years ago, you gotta go, right? That's the Stephen Miller route. Or you're more of like the Russ Vought, listen, not necessarily racist, just an authoritarian. Just want an expanded executive branch, unitary executive theory, no more checks and balances. It's either you're one of the three or some combination of the three. That's all that's left. There are no more normal, socially adjusted, well-informed, well-intentioned people who believe in freedom that also support Trump. That is not a cross-section that exists anywhere, which explains why no one supports him anymore. It's just a small group of malicious, malignant people.
Normally, investors, economists, Fed officials, they put less weight on this ADP report because it has kind of a mixed track record at predicting the more important official labor market numbers. But because of the government shutdown, those official numbers, they've been delayed and they've been messed with. So this is really
that's just normal now.
In fact,
Okay.
this is the last significant labor market indicator that Fed officials will have.
Another reason I'm still adjusting to going live every day is like having to live react to the stress of the news and then speak on it. Usually, before I did more lives, I could watch it and tweak out about it and then let it marinate, and then 2 days later I can write a script, and now I'm just, y'all are seeing my live reaction, which is just what the fuck is even going on anymore. This is like overstimulating in the worst way.
Washington next week to decide on whether or not to continue cutting interest rates. And we know Fed officials have been divided about what to do next, but I gotta believe that this report was weak enough that it's going to persuade Fed officials who are on the fence to back another interest rate cut, because right now...
I don't even think it's just, if you're just uneducated, but you're like not a bad person, I feel like I could show you a video of like ICE like ripping a mom out of a car who ends up being a citizen, and she's like screaming and crying and stuff. And even like an uneducated person is like, oof, this is mean and bad, and why is the government doing this, right? And maybe that like there's a certain type of uneducated, which is that actually you're educated in falsehoods, which is indoctrination, right? Your entire media diet is OAN, Newsmax, Twitter, all of Elon Musk's quote tweets where he goes, interesting. That's like a certain type of uneducated person who is willfully or just by chance ended up living in some alternate reality, which is, again, not reality. They've been indoctrinated into delusion.
Job market.
Exactly. It's not education. Like, we're at the point now where I feel like if you're a well-intentioned person who just genuinely wants the best for most people and does not actively want to see suffering and pain, and you're not like a sadistic person, I feel like you're hard-pressed to support Trump at this point. Unless you have a career reason to do so, right? Ben Shapiro, I used to think way back in the day, oh, he's wrong on everything, and I really question his values as a person, but he seems consistent. Relatively consistent. Back in like 2014. Wrong, but consistent. Has the same wrong beliefs every time. Now he's like a shapeshifter. One day, Mamdani is like the worst thing ever because he's a socialist. And the next day, Trump just nationalized 10% of Intel through executive fiat by misallocating congressionally appropriated funds. And he says, this is what I don't like about Trump. Anyways, moving on. What happened to existential threat of socialism? And executive overreach? Oh, wow, you don't give a fuck.
Breaking news in our Law and Justice lead and a major update from the U.S. Supreme Court on that Texas
Look at my site, Help Me Bio. I'll check it out after the live. I got a dip in like 10 minutes anyways.
redistricting case. You'll remember Republicans
Not PA Governor Ben Shapiro. I'm talking about Ben Shapiro.
in the state, in an unusual mid-decade review, redrew the maps, the congressional maps earlier this year. Let's get right in Chief Supreme Court.
Actually, you know what? I don't need to.
No, skip it, Jones.
I don't care why. The fact is that they did it. Let's...
This a major legal blow to Trump here. A grand jury in just the past few minutes, as we're coming to air, has refused to indict the New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Oh, this is a more recent one. Let's watch the older,
grand
more
jury in
previous.
Virginia declining to re-indict. The grand jury in Virginia declining to re-indict New York Attorney General Letitia James. The charges against her in a mortgage fraud case.
All you need to know here, you don't need to be a legal expert or anything. Trump wanted the U.S. attorney for, let's just talk about the Comey case. It was her and Comey. Wanted the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia to find something to indict James Comey on. So he goes, Eric Siebert, the U.S. attorney, he looks around. He's like, listen, man, I looked, I tried, not really a case here. And then Trump, who tries to DM Pam Bondi on Truth Social, because apparently Trump is DMing his cabinet members on Truth Social to communicate. Instead of DMing her, he accidentally posts on Truth Social what's meant to be a DM to Pam Bondi saying, hey, let's fire this guy and let's replace him with my personal lawyer, Lindsay Halligan. She's an insurance lawyer, but who cares? She'll indict Comey and she'll indict Letitia James. And then what happens? Eric Siebert is no longer the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Now it's Lindsay Halligan. Was she confirmed by the Senate? No, it's an acting appointment. The Senate would never confirm this person because she's never once in her entire life prosecuted a case ever. Ever. And then she gets an indictment on, I think, 1 count or 2 counts against Comey for some fuck-ass shit that's not even real. And then they go to court, and the judge is like, wait a second. Did you even show the full grand jury this indictment? Like all of the charges? And it turns out no, actually. They didn't even properly secure the indictment, which I'm going to assume tends to happen, 1, when you're acting in bad faith and in a politicized manner, and 2, when you've never prosecuted a case before, and you've never indicted anyone anymore. And the cases are thrown out. They try to bring the case back against Letitia James for mortgage fraud. And obviously, a rational person in the grand jury is like, no, we're not doing this. This is not real. You're crazy. And just to be clear, the alleged mortgage fraud Letitia James, evil Letitia James, crooked Letitia engaged in is she reported a property she was getting as a primary residence, and that secures you a certain interest rate on your loan. Then apparently at some point in time, she rented it out to like a family member. And allegedly, this was all mortgage fraud because if she had said when getting the loan that this is for a rental property, the interest rate would be like 0.05% higher. Which, to do the math on that, I saw an expert say that this would have been mortgage fraud to save like $400 a year. You think someone committed mortgage fraud to save like a well-connected person who I'm assuming has decent money if they have multiple homes to save a little bit of money? Like not even $1,000 a year? Okay. Mortgage fraud. Yeah. Shocking that the grand jury did not re-indict. And if anyone's lagging, I genuinely do not know how to address that. Because everything on my end says I have strong connection. Maybe I don't. I don't know. It's saying I have strong connection. I feel like I was cooking with the rant that I just did, so I hope that that wasn't just me looking like a Minecraft character at 2 FPS. Very badly. Am I lagging on YouTube as well? I just hope the VOD was not damaged by that lag. And I don't know if everyone experienced that, if it's just TikTok people that experienced that, or if YouTube did as well. Can someone who's watching on YouTube let me know if you just experienced lag on my end? And let me know in the comment that you're watching on YouTube. Because I have multi-chat, so it's all just in one feed for me. Mac moment. This post was made by a Windows gang. If I was on Windows, the live never would have started. If I was on Windows, you would still be seeing the first frame of this live. I don't ever want to hear from a Windows warrior in my chat, ever. You don't know how overjoyed I was the day that TikTok Live Studio was released on Mac. Bad lag on YouTube. We heard the rant, but it was choppy. Flower Power says you didn't lag for me. It's Flower Power is clearly the only person here who got Biden broadband, so that's not my problem, guys. Sorry.
Thrown out just 10 days ago, the Justice Department tried to bring the case.
As long as the VOD recorded correctly and I can use it for a clip on YouTube, it's fine with me. You can rewatch it later.
Again, earlier today, it said that you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Well, apparently the Trump people can't do that. Let's get to CNN's Caitlin.
A rare moment when a journalist appropriately addresses the Trump administration with the right level of disdain. It's so refreshing.
Declining to re-indict New York Attorney General.
This is so true. They always said the indictments against Trump mean nothing. You could indict a ham sandwich. Apparently the ham sandwich is more guilty than Letitia James, and Trump is at least as guilty as the ham sandwich, if not more. What did this ham sandwich do is the real question.
Letitia James, the charges against her in a mortgage fraud case were thrown out just 10 days ago. The Justice Department tried to bring the case again earlier today. It said that you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Well,
I know it's 10:40. I said I could stay till 10:45 if I pushed it. So I'll push it till 10:43. I'm remotely starting my car, so it's not cold when I get there.
the Trump people can't do that. Let's get straight to CNN's Caitlin Collins at the White House. Caitlin?
Yeah, Jake, my colleague Caitlin Poland and I are hearing that today a grand jury declined to re-indict Letitia James on those mortgage fraud.
And the reason I'm not going live again when I come back from picking up my sister is because new episode of Pluribus comes out tonight, and I need to do my pre-Pluribus ritual. I need food. I need Haagen-Dazs ice cream ready to go from when I'm done with the food. I have Airheads on standby. I can't allow this to interfere with my ritualistic viewing of TV shows. I'm sorry. On a Friday night. Or no, it's a Thursday night. Friday technically because Pluribus comes out on Fridays. And if you watch Pluribus, you've been struggling recently because they released last week's episode on Wednesday instead of Friday, which at first is like, oh my god, it's out early. But then you're like, wait, I'm waiting for more than a week now for the next episode, which is just not fair. Should be a human rights violation, honestly.
That the Justice Department has been seeking against her, and as you noted, in a case that was thrown out against her about.
When will you be live next? Probably tomorrow. I'm like trying to go live every day-ish. Emphasis on the ish. So maybe there's like a 1 day gap here and there. But at least an hour every day. I'm trying. So y'all better make it worth my time by double tapping the screen, following me on TikTok, subscribing on YouTube, and sending me every penny in your bank account on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Linktree in my bio.
days ago. They made clear when that happened that they were going to try this again. But today, Jake, they have failed and did not secure a new indictment against the New York Attorney General, despite their best efforts today. Though we are hearing from sources that they're...
Cans, if I was president, I would send you to CCOT on day one. Pluribus is just that Rick and Morty episode transcribed for boomers. Don't speak of Vince Gilligan, the author of Breaking Bad, in this way. Rick and Morty, that show has not been good since season 3, okay? If you like funny, adult, animated, whatever, Smiling Friends is the only show for that. And if you don't watch Smiling Friends or Pluribus, I denounce you, I condemn you, I don't want you in my audience, okay? Very strongly, I denounce you.
Be premature celebrations on this front, Jake, which likely means that they are going to try again. But given what you pointed out there, that's generally a pretty low bar for something like this.
Another reason why Pluribus sucks, Frank. You better hope I never run for president. Number 1 on my agenda is sending you to CCOT. Apparently it's allowed. Anyone can be sent there, so. Did you think Smiling Friends Season 3 was good? Did I think it was good? I think some of the best episodes of the series were in Season 3. Mole Man? Mole Man is a top 10 episode of the show. Obviously. The episode with Squim and the kebab, that's a top 10 episode. Come on.
It's not clear if the Justice Department will be successful, when it will try again, or when exactly that is going to happen. And so this is certainly a blow to their efforts, as the president has made clear that he wants charges pursued here and he wants this investigation to continue.
Okay. I'm going to head out now. I think we covered the important points, which is that the Trump administration is incompetent and horrible. Their economic management is failing. Their indictments are not real. They're not serious. Job numbers bad. Credit availability bad. I'm trying to think of what's good right now in this country. What's even going well? Let's take the glass is 1% full approach instead of 99% empty approach. Let's be optimists. What's still going well in this country on a macro level before I leave? Let me leave you with something positive. We have